Have you heard about this personal and professional podcast?
Coaching in Session
with your host, Michael Rearden.
If you have been tuning into the podcast for any length, especially in the last 50 episodes, you will see there's some type of pattern. Typically, every 7 to 14 to upward to 50 episodes, I will have a lesson. And the lesson sometimes can take multiple days, weeks, months. I typically don't make it a year-long type of thing, right? We want the learning to happen. We don't go to school and say, okay, I'm going to do this, 3-credit course, and it's going to take me 4 years just to get 3 credits. No, it takes 4 years to get 160 or 190 credits, whatever you need to graduate. I think of, well, in life, it's not as easy as just going to school and you get all the answers, because there's periods in your time when you're not in school. And so what is that, right? And there is a foundation that is being laid out, whether you like it or whether you don't like it. It's something that we all grow up with. Now, sometimes those foundations are porous, they're full of holes, potholes like New Jersey in the winter, maybe even in the summer because they don't want to fix them. Maybe New York or Connecticut, the states that they have, harsh winters. Well, we think about in life now, right? The foundation of us, of who we would like to be. Do we know everything we need to know? Well, the answer is no, we're learning for the first time typically. But sometimes that learning is going to be interrupted by our ego, by society, by the world, by teachers, or by parents, and they're going to instill some wisdom, and it's our decision to listen or to experience it firsthand. For example, maybe you're a person that needs to get their hand burned. Don't touch the stove, don't touch the stove. And you touch the stove and boom, you get burned. But if I said, hey, the stove is hot, don't touch the stove, and you never had any experience with fire and what hot is, the word hot is, or the feeling of getting burned, would you be like, okay, I'm going to listen, I'm going to trust this guy? Typically, no. Typically, you have to go out and you have to experience life. So at this point, typically the people who are listening to the podcast are older, right? They're going to be 25 plus. And for the individuals who are looking to enhance themselves, they're looking for some solutions. They're looking for help. They're looking for answers. But it's not as simple as saying, well, read this and you're going to get the answers. There's a lot of work that you have to do, because I might give a general understanding. I might share concepts and ideas and wisdoms with you, but in order for it to be effective, you must be able to know and apply it to yourself. So you need to figure out what works for you. For example, there's different types of learners. You could be an auditory learner, you could be a kinesthetic learner, you can be a visual learner. I mean, depending on how you learn or how you operate, you figure out what is for you. I know there's certain people who don't like to get yelled at or be yelled at. So they don't want a coach that's going to yell at them in any way or form. They want someone who's going to love them and nurture them and be there to support them. So this is all great and everything, right? But the issue is not so much of we are just finding people we enjoy. We find people that are going to give us what we need to. So it's important we are able to do that. And so today I wrote this article, The Foundational Values of the Mind, Building Blocks for Success and for Fulfillment. Because if you are familiar with me or the podcast, success has a definition, but it is your definition. Success can be you want to live in the woods, and that's fine. Success you can be you want to live on a farm, and that's fine. Success can be you want to own a bunch of goats and stuff. That's fine, right? Success can be you want to be a billionaire with all these cars. That is fine, right? You get to choose what your success is. But there is something you have to realize when it comes to success. You have to say, this is nice for now. Will it be nice later also? Because people might say, I'm going to climb the corporate ladder today and I feel successful. People might say, I'm going to get a bunch of posses and a bunch of girls and guys to love me and admire me. And you might say that is success. Well, sure, right? That could be success for now because it's, success for a 16-year-old might be different than success for a 40-year-old. And I can attest to that. I'm 37 and I can say, you know what? Success for me when I was 16 is very different than now. I understand my success is going to evolve, but I have to give myself the stepping stones, the foundation for me to build up to the person that I want to become. Because many people, they will love the shortcuts. They will love to just say, hey, this is where I am today. This is where I want to be tomorrow. And then magically all the work is done. Well, unfortunately, it doesn't work that way, right? We need to figure out what is our journey. And oftentimes, if we can find the right journey, fulfillment starts to kind of say, hey, I'm here. I'm ready. I'm waiting. Enjoy it. Fulfillment is that you're doing something that you love, that you want to be doing. I can't imagine someone who has, a wonderful family life and they see their kids growing up that they are not fulfilled. Now, I understand you might have, certain issues, maybe if you're dealing with debt or if you're dealing with job insecurity or if you're dealing with relationship issues with your spouse, or maybe your kids are not listening. I mean, we can go down the list of things that could possibly go wrong in your life. But fulfillment is not going to say, hey, well, you have to wait to be fulfilled because you have all of these problems. No, fulfillment is always there. Happiness is always there, along with all the other wonderful emotions, sadness, anger, anxiety. I mean, yes, we're going to experience them. And that is the beauty of being human. But if we can figure out the foundation of where we're going or how we're set up, then we're going to give ourselves the best trajectory to where we would like to be. And so I have this article here, TUS Part 70, The Foundation Values of the Mind, Building Blocks for Success and Fulfillment, as I said before. Now, we talk about the core foundational values. Number one being self awareness, two, resilience, three, curiosity, four, empathy, five, discipline, and six, gratitude. Now, in this article, I also go into how to cultivate these values, of course, because what would I be with just explaining these different areas? And we can definitely do a quick explanation of some of these areas, but this is going to be an article description box right down below. We'll have this link. I encourage people to either read it at your leisure when you can or to follow along when I'm speaking right now. So we take a brief look at how to cultivate these values. And of course, it's going to be in chronological order of the six that I just said. Number one is going to be practicing daily reflection, and that's going to be the idea of the foundation of self awareness. Then you look at embracing challenges, and that's going to be being resilient. Three, stay curious. And that's going to be the foundation of curiosity. For staying curious, right? You want to explore that life is going to be more than what you are currently living. I like to say, like when you go on vacation, right? You might go to Disney World or something, right? In America, and you might say, hey, I'm going to go out and try some new foods that I never tried before, not in Disney World because it's very expensive. But you might say, I'm going to go to downtown Orlando or wherever you want to go, right? You get to choose where you go. In Florida, there's a good Hispanic or Latin culture there. You can find Cubans, you can find Puerto Ricans, you can find people who are going to be able to cook with a level of spice and awareness that you might not have ever experienced before. So you try this food and it might be different, right? It might be different than your palate is used to, your McDonald's and your Burger King or whatever. But you say, you know what? I'm going to be curious to try new things. And heck, you might find something you love because yes, you might have given yourself this idea of growing up. This is what I ate. This is what I did. And I remember me growing up, I would eat Spanish food all the time and we would have pizza on Fridays. But that was my life, is eating Spanish food. And now I'm eating all types of food. It's not just Spanish food. It's Italian foods. It's Peruvian, even though it's Latin, Brazilian, right? We have so many different options. Barbecue in Texas, like it's different than what I thought I was going to be eating for the rest of my life. Because when you're growing up, you're like, okay, I'm going to eat pork chops one day. How many steak one day is all going to be seasoned with adobo, right? The red top, the red cap one, not the green one. It was, the flavor, what we were used to. But then I said, you know what? First of all, the spices or the sodium and that was not good. So I said, you know what? I'm going to be more healthier. So I was curious, right? What would be the healthier options? Even though I wanted to try different things, I still can say, let me be more healthy. Let me be more conscious of what is going on because I'm paying attention not only to my roots, my foundation that set me up, but where I would like to be also. Because that's the goal typically, right? People are looking at the goal for what is to come, right? So it's not only, hey, I'm doing what I feel is appropriate or what I would like to do in the current moment. It's saying, let me look at what are all the possibilities. And life is full of possibilities because now we get into four, building connections, and that's going to be creating with empathy. Just connecting with others is so powerful. Then five, we're setting clear goals, right? We are disciplined to those goals. And then six is going to express gratitude. And then it is also the idea of the foundation of being grateful, right? Having gratitude. Now, all of these things are easily written out. You don't have to get a pen or anything. They're all on the blog. So you can easily just kind of check out the article, read it, get what you need from it. But today, I'm going to be talking about the foundation, right? The values of the mind more than just the steps and how to get there. Because you can easily read this article, give yourself some direction, and whether you remain consistent or not is up to you. Now, I do want to point out something that this is a TUS Part 70. We're getting up there. Tune-up series are blog series that are dedicated for individuals who already have a good, strong mindset. Typically, when I write a TUS, whatever it is, part whatever, if I put it out there, the people who are reading it are people who have the consciousness or have the ability to say, you know what, I'm going to follow through with this. Versus, whoa, this is a lot of information. And I can understand this could be a lot of information to even the people who have good, strong mindsets because it is a lot of information. It is a lot of work to do. And many people, when they're looking at building a home, you're like, whoa, there's so much to do. Maybe you don't know all the ins and outs. So you hire a builder, you get a realtor, you get, you figure out your team and they help you along the process. But if you do it by yourself, it's going to be a great learning lesson, number one. But then two, you're going to have to learn a lot of things that you might have never thought you would learn before. And in life, it's the same thing where we are going in life, right? So if you think of like, being a kid, right? You learn how to ride your bike, you learn how to read, you learn how to write, you learn how to do basic arithmetic, and you say, okay, now, you have a good foundation. But maybe you don't want to do things with history or science or whatever it be, right? You might have some interest, sure enough, right? But the people who are kind of learning about, certain countries that they might have no interest in, or maybe a process that they know that they're not going to use. I know there's some people who don't feel as if they have to learn basic math where they can say, I have my phone to do everything. Why do I have to read and educate myself or learn? Because I can go to Google or I can ask an AI software for the answers, and rightfully so, right? You can ask for the answers, you can ask for some assistance or some help, whatever it be. But I encourage individuals to do the work and to be self sufficient. Now, self sufficient is just a fancy word of meaning that you can do it by yourself. You can do things without assistance, but it doesn't mean that you do it by yourself all the time, right? We learned the process of delegation. We learned that we can ask for help when we need some assistance. It's not so much of, I'm going down this path, and this path is my journey, and all the battles are my battles, and this war is my war, and I can't ask for help. Well, the foundational values of the mind are built on connection, they're built on an understanding of that I am not by myself. All of the things, all these foundations that click together, right? The years that come together, they are, your story, right? They are your testament that you're learning and you're growing. Because if you are 3 and then year 5, you have grown. You are going to think different, right? Just your brain is going to operate different. You're going to want to be more independent maybe when you become 7 or 8 years old. And now maybe you go, we jump to teen years and now we're even more independent and we want to be around our peers more and we want to separate from the family unit. And of course, I'm not saying that's everyone because if you have a good family structure, why in the world are the kids going to want to leave something that's wonderful, right? So typically, what happens is it's just a natural flow of what life is, especially in the West. But it's based on culture, it's based on the understanding. The foundation of what America is a land full of opportunity, but then it's also a land full of distractions, of things that are going to pull you away from your purpose. And we have to say, well, if I want something in life, I need to be making sure that I am doing what is necessary for me to get it. Because people might say it's going to take 10 years to do something, right? Well, there are certain people who say, well, I want it done in 10 months. It just depends on what type of person are you. Are you a person that's going to wait for life to give them everything? Or are you a person that's going to go out and get what life is not giving you and you're going to take it? And I encourage you to go out and for you to take it, right? The foundation of who you are today has already set you up. Now, of course, what I do, the work that I do, and the coaches that come on, it's typically not only to, topple over what you have built, but to repair what is going on. Because one of my cooperating teachers, back when I was going for my master's, he had a wonderful way of viewing learning. He says, we're going to start with the basics. We're going to start from ground zero, and we're just going to make sure that there's no holes in your learning. And of course, the first week was super simple. Like, I was like, this is simple stuff. And everyone was breezing through this. It's like almost like telling a fifth grader to do 5 plus 5, easy for them, right? And they not only get confidence or gain confidence, but the teacher can see, okay, where are you struggling? Let me see how you're doing this. Let me see how your mind is operating. And this is life. If you can figure out how your mind is operating, then you can say, okay, this is the foundation that was setting me up, maybe for success, maybe for a life full of joy and happiness and fulfillment, or it was one that was setting me up for disaster. And many people, unfortunately, they have a foundation that is set up for disaster. They have a foundation that they are not self aware. They have a foundation where they're not resilient. They have a foundation where they're not curious or they're not open to learn about someone else or create connection. They do not want to be empathetic for, other people. They want to just look at their life and their problems and solutions for themselves, right? But then all of this on top of it, they don't want to be disciplined. They don't want to be consistent and they don't want to be grateful for what they have. So they're looking at what they don't have and being so bitter and so upset that they don't have the things that they wish they desire or that they wish they would have in their life. But if we just said, you know what? We can just get rid of all of these negative things. We can put in some optimism, right? We can give ourselves a growth mindset, and it's going to help some. But when it comes to the foundation, right? Sometimes you need a repair, right? You need someone who's going to come in and do the work that you don't want to do. I understand how difficult it is to kind of do things over again. And I remember one of the best things that worked for me, and I'm not saying you should do this, but it's a wonderful tool. When I was done with high school and I had to go to college where I went to a community college for my first couple of years so I could save money because we didn't have any money. So I was like, let me figure out how I can save some money besides going to university and racking up all this money, right? I couldn't even afford university at the time. So I went to community college for the first two or 3 years to get all my basics done. And I remember my first year, they wanted me to do a zero course. And basically, it was a no credit course for reading or for writing. It was more writing, it wasn't reading. I was like, okay, I could have fought it. I could have said, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to take this course. I just want credits. I just want the good stuff, right? But I said, you know what? I was never a person who enjoyed reading. I was not a person who enjoyed, writing papers in high school. It wasn't a joy of mine. It was torture if I had to say something about it. But after taking that zero course and speaking with that teacher that I would have never met if I didn't take that course, I fell in love with writing. I fell in love with reading, and it was very interesting. It was something that I never thought a teacher could make me fall in love with something that I just didn't have a passion for or an inkling or liking for. And it was maybe in a sense of I was okay at reading and writing, but I wasn't fabulous. I wasn't great. I was really good at math, so I loved math. I was excelling in math. So that's what I wanted to do, right? I just wanted to do math, right? I wanted to do what I was good at, not what I wasn't good at. But she helped me get good at the things I wasn't or, might have been struggling in or with. One of the things she told me, or one of the things I did, she didn't necessarily tell me to do this, but she would give you a paper. And you had to write a couple of papers throughout the semester. The first paper, it's full of red ink. I'm like, oh, Jesus, full of red ink. This is terrible. What I noticed some students did was they just kind of fixed the issues with the red ink, right? The teacher would say, oh, you got to change this. This is wrong, grammar, etc., right? And they would just fix those things, and they would have even more mistakes because they just kind of fixed the things that they thought they had to fix in order to get a good grade. Well, what I did was I deleted the file. So I had to rewrite everything from the paper that she gave me. I was like, this is a lot more work to do it that way. But the paper came back so much better, where now the red ink was way less than other people's I was looking at. And it's not a competition of who has less red ink, but it was more of an understanding of the process that I was giving myself was one, not only to catch mistakes before they were made, but to also appreciate the process, to appreciate the journey, and to, learn how to write. And I remember when I wrote my first blog, with Reven Concepts, 2018, I believe, I was like, whoa, I'm so excited for this article to come out. I put in so much work. And compared to today, to, the first blog, night and day, number one. But then number two, you know, the meaning is so much more profound today. But I had to start somewhere. I had to say, let me give myself a foundation. Let me give the business a foundation, or the process a foundation, right? What do I want to do? What is my foundation? Where is my starting point? And I was not afraid to do it. Many people don't want to start because of how much work or dedication or energy it requires for them to, go on that path or remain consistent on that journey. It is daunting. I understand. But when you're looking at your life, you can't be a person that just says, hey, I live my life and all my past is my past and my present is my present, my future, and I'm just going to live according to where I am. But I encourage people to figure out where they're weak, to figure out where they're strong. I don't want a house that has crack foundation. I don't want you to buy a house that has crack foundation. So why are you living in a life that is cracked? Why are you living in a life that's slanted? Why are you living in a life that is not pristine? And pristine is not so much of perfection, but it is, something that you're working on, is working, a work in progress. You are a work in progress. It's not you are, work that has made some progression and now you have stopped. How many people they start something and they don't finish? I hope it's not you. And if it is you, this is a wonderful time to wake up. This is a wonderful time to check out this article here, TOS Part 70, The Foundational Values of the Mind, the building blocks for success and fulfillment. These building blocks are, as I said, they help you build into the mind or the person that you would like to become. But we do have to get very clear on who we have been. Because if we have not been the right person, and all of a sudden we want to be the right person, great, we're on the right path. But we're going to have many habits that we need to look at that might start to come back in, right? Because if we start to, I'm trying to think of a bad habit, eat pizza every night after we get off work, right? But maybe we want to give ourselves the foundation of a healthy mind and a healthy body. So we're saying, okay, we're not going to eat those bad foods anywhere. So we have to get rid of the things we have been consistent in, buying the pizza and the foundation of being unhealthy and start to give us something different. So we have to replace that foundation of our experience with something that is new. Now, tearing away the foundation can be dangerous in a sense because if you pull away the foundation or something, something else might shift. And you might say, well, now I can't go out with my friends and eat pizza. Or now I might not be able to, watch the game or something and be happy that I'm eating pizza. I want to watch the game. I mean, we can go down the list of things that, can be a shift in something you do. For example, I know people who they give up sugar, right? Like they say, I'm going to go on a sugar cleanse and they don't have sugar and they have withdrawals. They're like, oh man, I'm having withdrawals. And sure, right? Your body is so used to it, the brain is so used to it. And then you do it for a couple of days, maybe a week, and you're fine, right? The body's like, okay, well, let's keep on moving. Same thing with the gym, right? You get used to it, you acclimate to it. And in life, you have to be able to see all the shifts in the moves that you make. And then you have to look at all the shifts in the moves that you will make. So there is two components in a sense. You look at what you have done and what's there, and then you look at what needs to be done, right? And what you want to implement. And all of the core foundational values are here. Number 1, self-awareness. 2, resilience. 3, curiosity. 4, empathy. 5, discipline. And 6, gratitude. These are going to be wonderful starting points for you. And your foundational values might be different than these 6 that I have here. And I encourage you to do the work to figure out if you have different ones. But these are going to be the primary ones that I encourage individuals to start with. And then from there, evolve from, or you can start to implement and shift different ones values in on your own accord, or whatever is going to be more meaningful for you in your life or more situational in your life. Because guess what, you might think that you don't want to be grateful for things. I mean, I don't, because you might look at one of these things and say, you know what, curiosity is stupid. Why do I have to connect with others? And it just means that you haven't done it before. And I encourage you, like when you're going down, these values, you're going to see things that you might not be good at or things that you might not be used to. But I want you to dive in, and I want you to dive into this article. Again, the link is in the description box below so people can easily read it, check it out, share it with someone who might be struggling with finding their values and just maybe some direction. This could be good for someone who is in their ego. But again, you have to have a good, strong mindset in order for you to follow through with this. Yeah, you can read it, you can get some ideas, but then at the same time, you need to make sure that you're being consistent in the change that you want. So you could reach out to us here at Reven Concepts. We'll love to help you on that journey if you are ready for it. But again, if you're not, continue to listen, to support the podcast, to support yourself on the journey of your betterment, because the foundations of who you are, the foundations of who you will be, are going to be maybe drastically different. So I want you to embrace the change, embrace who you once were, and then also embrace the new person, right? Both people have helped you become the person that you are today. We don't necessarily know what are going to be all the good things in life until we try them. We don't know what are going to be the bad things in life unless we try them. Now we can learn from wisdom, we can learn from someone else's mistakes or life, but when it comes to our foundation and our life and our success, because it is derived by our own meaning and mindset, fulfillment very similar. It is something we have to experience firsthand. So don't let life pass you by. Experience it, dive in, and get down to the roots and the foundation of who you are and who you will be.